Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 4 for 4 podcast. I hope everybody had a happy new year, Merry Christmas, everything. I took a little break in between. I just really didn't get the time to be able to make a new episode, but today I'm going to be making a quicker, shorter episode. And I really wasn't thinking about doing another episode until next week. I was going to say, I'll wait till next week. I'll probably post one or two. But thinking about what happened yesterday with Tetsuya Imai made me very upset with the Phillies. So I decided I'm gonna make one today. Along with, by the way, New Year's Eve watching Sam Emerson absolutely once again blow a terrible game. But there is a good amount to talk about today. So let's get to it. Again, gonna be a quicker episode today. So let's get started here. Let's start the Phillies. I'm really upset. I was really invested in Tetsuya Imai. I heard the Phillies were interested in him, and I was super excited. I was ready to jump out of my seat. I was like, yes, we get a Japanese pitcher. Hopefully that opens up the Japanese market to the Phillies, and more Japanese players can come in. But no. He goes to the Astros, and I'm upset about this deal. Obviously, there's not enough details out about whether or not the Phillies offered him a contract. It sounds like there were other contracts that were longer deals but less money, which isn't the way to go. And I was hoping we would lock him down because having a guy like Imai in your staff just makes you that much better. Now, our staff right now, if we're being honest, isn't the problem. I wanted Imai because I've seen him pitch. I've seen the highlights of him pitching, I should say. And he's dirty, and I do think he's going to be a good MLB pitcher. But, it is what it is. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And I'm really upset with Dave Dombrowski, and it has me wondering. But let's get to the contract. I just had to look it up real quick because I forgot. It came out 3 years, $63 million. I forget who came out with. I think it was John Heyman. But now it's being said as 3 years, $54 million, and so that's $18 million a year. There's an opt out after every single year, so there might still be a chance to get him in the future. But the chance to splash is now. We're going to get older in the future. I'm upset because I don't want to run it back. I'm tired of running it back. It's been, 3 to 4 years of us constantly running it back. We're going to make these minor moves. Here's an outfielder that we're going to add for $10 million. And I said I liked the move, which is not a lie. I really enjoyed the Adolis Garcia signing. I do think he's going to be a good player. But adding a guy like Garcia isn't the move that I want. It's a good move, but you have to make other moves. You do have to make other moves. You can't sign Garcia, sign Keller, and say, here's the offseason. Now, the Keller signing is huge. That is huge. That was a really good signing. I'll give Dave credit for that one. You're strengthening up that bullpen that really struggled in the playoffs last year. I love that. But you got to add to the offense. The offense is the issue, and you got to add in general. You have to change something. You can't constantly run it back year after year after year. It gets annoying. And now people are saying, hey, I want Ranger Suarez to come back. We're saving his money, why not? No, I do not want Ranger Suarez back. That is the last thing we need. Coming into the offseason, I said I don't want him back. He lowers his price, I'll consider. But he wants 30 plus million. I'm not paying him that money. Look, the playoff track record, it's phenomenal. I was really, really pushing for him to pitch to start game 3, right? Or game 3, yes. I was really pushing for him to start game 3 because I know he had a rough second half. But when doesn't he have a rough second half? That's the problem. You can always rely on him in the playoffs. Great. He can't pitch consistently. He starts the year, and then he slows down as the year goes on. I went to a Phillies-Angels game this previous season. It was a Sunday game, and me and my brother went to it, and it was a blowout. Suarez got destroyed, and that's what happens. First of all, he doesn't throw the ball hard. He's a great pitcher because he pitches old-fashioned. He doesn't throw hard. There's 91, 92 tops. I think rarely he'll hit 93. but he touches it on the corners, and it's disgusting, and there's nothing you can do. But in the middle of the season, when he wears down and gets hurt, he's not controlling that fastball, and the velocity's also dropping. So he's throwing 88, he's not controlling it, and it's down the middle, and it's smoked, and it's right there, and it's smoked. Here's a curveball down the middle, bang, gone. That's what happens with Suarez, and that's why he's not worth the $40 million. Save the $40 million, spend it elsewhere. You cannot run it back for 4 years in a row. You just absolutely cannot run it back. It would be brutal if they ran it back. I don't know how I'd be able to watch the team next year. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to, because I would watch every single game, because that's me. I'm going to complain about the team now, but I'm going to watch them regardless if they win or lose in the regular season anyways. Obviously, I want them to go get Bichette. I'm more in on Bregman now than I ever was. Now, Bregman's 31 years old, is a little bit older, but I'm still more on him now. I really wasn't too high on him in the offseason. I was saying, to start the offseason, I was saying, adding to the older core. But now I'm like, screw it. We need to add something. You cannot walk away with the same roster every year. And it's strategic moves that you need to make. It's like playing chess. You need to go in and I think you need to re-sign Harrison Bader and trade Marsh. Marsh is an issue. First of all, that solves your outfield problem. You have arguably one of the worst outfields in baseball as we, at today, right? The outfield right now is Crawford in center, Marsh in left, and Garcia in right. That's a pretty bad outfield, especially if Garcia hits those low numbers again. You're banking on him to be good. Now, the thing is, if you add Bader, this is what your outfield would look like. You're looking like, and if they don't trade Marsh, which I think they should if they add Bader back, but you have Marsh as your fourth outfielder, then you have Crawford in left, you'll have Bader in center, and you'll have Garcia in right. And I think that just makes it that much better because Bader was a spark for us last year. Not only was he a spark, he was a right-handed bat. I think you also need to go in and get, like I said, one of Bregman or Bichette, maybe even Okamoto, although I have not heard anything about them being tied to Okamoto. I have heard that they have been nowhere near Okamoto. I've heard a lot of teams haven't been because the finalists apparently were the Angels and Pirates last week. Now, who knows if those rumors were true or not, but I would like Okamoto as well. And then if you get like an Okamoto, you can possibly trade Bohm as well. You got to be smart. Now, of course, you're trading one of Marsh or Bohm, you're trying to get a catcher because I don't think you should bring back Realmuto either. I think you need change. You cannot re-sign Realmuto. You cannot re-sign Suarez. And if you do both, I will be beyond pissed off because that would be brutal. You cannot re-sign both. That is the number one thing that I do not want to happen. If you re-sign one, I will be mad, but I won't be not even close to as mad as I will be if they sign both. Because if they sign both, they're running it back. And how many times, Dave, do you run it back without saying, hey, this doesn't work, we need to change something? Right? And they're going to run it back. They'll go to the deadline. They'll trade for one reliever, and they'll trade for an outfielder. And it won't do anything. You need to add Dave. And Dave Dombrowski, he's getting older. He might be washed. He might be washed. He hasn't made one trade this offseason. He signed two guys, right? Garcia and Keller. Obviously, he's traded for Backus, but a minor league deal, right? Probably a couple other minor league deals as well. I'm not thinking of right now. But you cannot run it back. And I'm beyond mad. Go back to the Tetsuya and Mai topic. I am beyond mad about Tetsuya and Mai because I really did want Tetsuya and Mai. I thought that he would be that guy. You sign a Mai, you go get, I don't know if you have money for Bichette or Bregman, but if you do, great. If not, go get maybe Okamoto. He's a little bit cheaper. Maybe you go re-sign Bader. Right? That's what I think you should do. I'm not the GM. I'm not a professional. I think that's the obvious answer. Go do it. And the obvious answer should be do not run it back. And I've said it how many times? Do not run it back. Nobody wants to run it back at all. It's done. It failed. This team has failed year after year after year. They got there and they have just gotten worse every single year on paper. Right? 2023, if we're being honest, was our best year to win it, and they choked in the NLCS. I stayed up for that entire game, and I was heartbroken at the end of the night. How many scoreless innings did they go in that game? One of the most boring games I ever watched, and I was just dying. I was hoping, hey, they're going to get a run this inning. They're going to get a run this inning. And the more I watched, the more I realized they aren't going to get a run. So again, just the overall takeaway from what I'm talking about the Phillies, do not run it back. Do not run it back. Let's be smart, Dave. Let's go make a trade, too. Come on. We need one. We've got a lot of holes on the roster. And I really hope his backup plan for Realmuto isn't just Marchand and Stubbs, because I am a guy that thinks Marchand, if he gets more at-bats, he could be a solid catcher. But I'm also a guy that absolutely despises Stubbs. And I also know Marchand's injury history. He gets hurt. Stubbs is just a terrible player. He's a DJ. He jinxed us, twice now? And he's just, wow, he plays the songs. Okay, that's great. And I hope they love the Morgan Wallen playlist, because he shouldn't be here anymore. He's lucky to be with the Phillies, because I don't know that anybody would sign him if he wasn't. Let's go to the Flyers. I want to get off the Phillies topic. I'm hoping the offseason is, we're more than halfway done, I think. Right? We're getting there. It's exciting. So let's go to the Flyers. I want to talk about Flyers Calgary. In Calgary, New Year's Eve. I watched the whole game, and I am extremely disappointed to say once again, guess who? Guess who? Sam Harrison. I mean, what is there even to say about him anymore? He's just that bad, and I have people defending him on Twitter. Hey, 4 of those goals weren't his fault. They got deflected. 3 of those goals, 5 of them weren't his fault. I watched the tape. I watched the highlights. I watched the whole game. And then I rewatched the highlights. And then I rewatched the film and the clips of Calgary scoring. And I truly believe that 4 of those goals that he let in, a lot of their goalies saved, including Vladar, including Kolosov. You need to make big saves. You have to. I've said it before. You need to make these big saves, and he's just not doing it. That's not what an NHL goalie does, and that's why he should be in the AHL. I'm not really sure whether or not he has options, if I'm being quite honest with you. If he doesn't, cut him. Put him on waivers. If he does, send him down and call up Bjarnason or Kolosov. It's that simple. I don't think you'd be rushing Kolosov. Or Bjarnason, sorry. I don't think you'd be rushing Bjarnason if you called him up either. I do think that he's ready, especially because this team is on the verge of a playoff spot, and you're going to probably see Porter Martone in a couple of months. Keep it short and sweet with the Flyers, because I'm not happy with them right now, but I'm kind of happy with them at the same time, because they're in 3rd place in the standings. So you can, so that's nice, in their division at least. So, you know the deal. Let's talk Eagles. They won. They beat the Bills. But you aren't going to win those games in the playoffs. This roster is capable to win a Super Bowl. It's just as good as last year. Maybe a little bit worse. Coaching is what's stopping us. And I'm tired of the Nick Sirianni love. I am. You have people commenting everywhere, well, you shouldn't be criticizing Nick Sirianni. Look at his record with the Eagles. Look at his stats. There's a story behind the stats. There is. There's a story behind the stats. You ask me, who do I not like more, Patullo or Sirianni? I'm saying Sirianni. Who hired Patullo? Sirianni. The 2 years, by the way, in between championships, 2023 and this year, 2025-26. Those 2 years is when Nick Sirianni has control. He's had the most control. He's calling plays. He's doing things. The years we went to the Super Bowl, we had Steichen, who I love and absolutely miss. Loved his offense. Such an aggressive passing offense. Oh, man. Wish he was our coach, tell you that much. and Kellen Moore, who looks to be doing solid with the Saints in terms of developing players and developing relationships with his players. I saw Tyler Show have a great game against the Titans. I also saw Cam Ward have a great game, but, you know, I don't know. There's fishy things there. Another thing with Sirianni is when it comes to Jalen Hurts and people saying he's overrated. Now, I do think he is overrated, but I don't think he's a top 30 worst quarterback in the sport. I think that he's right in the middle. I think he's anywhere from 15 to 11 to 10. Maybe he can crack the top 10. People say, well, Jalen Hurts, look at the roster he has. Two wide receivers. Three good wide receivers. Jahan Dotson's underrated. You know, there's a couple of receivers in that staff that are underrated. But I'll just say for now, 3 good wide receivers. Now, this year, Barkley struggled, but Barkley in the backfield, along with Tank Bigsby, who I think has impressed a lot of Eagles fans. One of the best O-lines in the sport. That's what Hurts has. But it's not just about what Hurts has, it's about what Sirianni has. Sirianni also has all that. He also has a great defense and a great defensive coordinator, and thank God for Vic Fangio, because we would not even be close to the same record right now without him. Sirianni's carried by the players, but carried by the roster. 2022 was a great roster. That was one of the greatest rosters I've ever seen. You had Bradbury and Slay in their prime. Your safeties were questionable. CJ he had a great year, and then Marcus Epps. And Epps wasn't like a problem. I mean, he was okay. He wasn't like a big problem. Right? You had your 2 DTs were Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, and you had rookie Jordan Davis. You had Josh Sweat. You had Brandon Graham. TJ Edwards. Don't forget about him. He was good. He's an Eagles legend. You kidding me? He was good. They had Kaiser White, who was also pretty good. Right? You know, the offense pretty much the same, taking out Barkley and inserting Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. And did they have Boston? I think they had Boston Scott that year as well. Right? Those are some pretty stacked teams that Sirianni's had. Sirianni, his stats look like that because his team looks like this. And without competent coordinators, his team tends to fall apart. And right now, the defensive coordinator and the defense is holding this team up. Because you can't win. The game they played last Sunday was a disgrace. It was a disgrace. You're not going to win those games in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, they're kicking the field goal there. And Josh Allen, I don't know, he missed that throw. I mean, wow, he never misses those throws. It's incredible. Now, it was a pretty fun game to watch, I'll give him that. But that doesn't mean it was a disgraceful game for the Eagles. It wasn't a disgraceful game for the Eagles, because it was a disgraceful game for the Eagles. Should have scored a lot more on that bad defense. Also, 2 wide receivers of mine and the running back on my fantasy team in the fantasy championship, just saying, screwed me over. Although I don't think Brown had a bad game, but I was already losing by 30 anyway, so I ran into some hot hands. But yes, I mean, you have to play better. The offense needs to be better. And while I do think the coordinator's an idiot, I think the coach is also an idiot as well. And you're not gonna. I say it. They're not gonna fire Sirianni until something goes seriously wrong. They're never going to. He's a yes man. He's a pushover coach. That's the problem. They like that. I would love a guy like Mike Tomlin to come in. My God, I see Steelers fans complaining about Mike Tomlin. Dude's never had a losing season, and he's had some mediocre rosters. I'll tell you that much. Nothing close to what the Eagles have had. I don't know. It's brutal, and you gotta hope there's change there. And I'm tired. Like I said, people see the stats and they say, "Wow, you're an idiot if you're saying Sirianni's bad." He's not. You can't just look at the record and the stats. You have to look at the story behind the stats. I look at the story behind the stats with Jalen Hurts. And this is what I think about Jalen Hurts. I've said it before. When I introduced myself in the podcast in that first episode, I explained my opinions on Jalen Hurts. And I did say I don't like the coach Sirianni. But my opinion on Jalen Hurts is, once again, he's a top 15 quarterback. He's not the reason you're going to lose the game. But in my eyes, he's not at all better than a guy like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. He's not. You got to look at the roster around him. You do. And again, I'm not saying he's bad. I don't think he's bad. I think he's good. We won the Super Bowl with him. He's proven that he can do it on the biggest stage, and that's all that matters. That is all that matters. Now, sorry. Sometimes he struggles. You see that fumble in 22. That hurt. I defend him, though. A lot of people bring that fumble up all the time. It's like, you can't just look at that fumble in that game. He played a great Super Bowl in 22. Played a great Super Bowl in 25. The Kellen Moore effect. I think that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I don't think that he's great. One of these days, and I've been thinking about it, maybe next week, I'll do a quarterback rank. And I'll tell you who I believe is better than Jalen Hurts. I'll do it. But I don't think as many people are going to be happy. Because I do find him overrated. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way at all. I mean, people way overrate him because people have him top 5, top 3. No, he's not top 5, top 3, and he might not even be top 10. I'll rank him next week, but I don't think he is top 10. He's a good quarterback. He's not a problem. I'm not complaining. Doesn't matter. Tanner McKee starts this week against the Commanders, so that ought to be a fun one. 6'6" pocket passer. We'll see what the Commanders have up their sleeve after the Eagles went for 2 last time. It didn't sound like Dan Quinn was really pleased, so I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take a shot at somebody. I wonder if Sirianni's scared. He's benching his guys now. Hey, guys, despite the fact that we have a chance to get I think it's the 2 seed, let's bench these guys. I don't want anybody getting hurt, right? I want everybody healthy for the playoffs. So we'll see. I keep looking at the injury report that they post on Twitter, or on X, sorry. And I'll be like, oh my God, Jalen Phillips, no, Jalen Carter, no. But you got to remember it's week 18. They're gonna put guys on the injured list, per se, on the injury report, and it doesn't matter because they'll be ready for the playoffs. But yeah, let's shift gears once again to the Sixers, and I really don't talk about the Sixers too often. But I do want to talk about, again, just a slight topic for the Sixers. I want to talk about VJ. I've loved him coming out of the draft. I've said it on this podcast before. I've loved him. The athleticism, the ability, the potential, it's all there, and he's an exciting player. And I saw him knock down a game-winning 3 against Memphis. Now, unfortunately, it was a rough night for me. Tuesday night, I got sick out of nowhere. It was a bad night the night before. So I went to bed at 8 o'clock, so I didn't watch the Flyers. I didn't watch the Sixers. I watched the highlights of the Flyers and the Sixers, but the day after. But it was a brutal night for me. Brutal couple of days in the middle of the week for me, but I'm feeling better, obviously, today. But VJ Edgecombe's still just a fun player to watch. This guy's incredible. Two-handed block yesterday. He gets it with the I believe it was the right first, and a full swat with the left. Oh God, or vice versa. Can't recall right now. But my Lord, the guy is so much fun to watch. I've never been a huge Sixers fan, but him and Maxey are making this team watchable. Paul George, let's talk about him. He's having a solid season, right? PJ, the guy's doing good, along with Joel Embiid when he's healthy. When he plays, he's solid. He looks like an old man out there, but he still scores. Those knees are cooked, but he's still scoring, so why do I care? Paul George is averaging pretty much 16 points a game. A little fact check there. So he's been pretty good this year. Obviously, he hasn't played every game, but I mean the Sixers. I don't know that they're going to be a top 3, 4 seed, but I think that they'll sneak into the playoffs, and I think that I don't know if they'll get past the second round. It seems like a curse, and I don't know that this team's going to be able to, but maybe in the next couple of years. We'll see what Daryl Morey does at the trade deadline. Maybe he makes like a big move, like he dumps Paul George and gets somebody. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. We'll see. Daryl Morey surprised me over the past offseason and a half. I gotta say, I've never been a huge fan of him. I judge general managers off of the moves that they can make, the tough moves, the kind of under the radar moves that they can make. That's why I don't like Dombrowski. He makes the easy moves. Now, I'm sure it's not easy in the office, like getting a guy like Duran. You know, I still can't believe he's a Philly. I was watching his highlights, whatever, Monday maybe. Guy's a Philly? Come on. Didn't get to see his postseason entrance, unfortunately, but still. Dombrowski, he doesn't make the tough moves. Sanchez was, I think, his only one, maybe. Right? I don't think there's anybody else. We'll see. Right? Roseman's an obvious. Everybody loves Roseman. He makes every move, and just somehow every single one works. I love Roseman. I mean, the guy's a Philly legend. You got to get his name in the rafters after he retires. Keep him an Eagle forever, too. Never let him leave. Right? Briere, it's a little early, but I've liked what he's done. I'd say the lowest he's done is the drafting. I think the drafting's kind of been like a B minus, maybe a C, but not terrible. You can never draft, judge a guy too early, but you do want to take the higher prospects at the draft. Like the Porter Martone draft, and I obviously love the trades that he's made. Have been phenomenal. So we'll see if he gets crafty at the deadline, because I think he will. But I do like what he's done. And Daryl Morey, I've never been a fan of. A lot of the moves he made, I was like, no, why would you do this? Why? You can't just do these moves. Feels like he's sleeping at his desk, but he has surprised me. Trendon Watford came on this year. He's been solid. Dominic Barlow. Dominic Barlow he's taking my heart, man. He's playing like an old-fashioned style, little rebound. Loves to rebound. Great defense. He's dunking. He's yamming on people. Oh, good find. Great find by Morey. Obviously, also VJ Edgecombe. That was a tough pick. I really didn't know much about VJ Edgecombe going into the draft. I was one of the people saying, just take Ace Bailey. Just take him. Who cares if he wants to be a crybaby? Just take him. Right move. Don't listen to me, Daryl. Don't, like, this draft class in terms of basketball, I got wrong. I didn't really know much about it. I just knew Cooper Flagg was going 1. And I knew that Ace Bailey was causing problems. And I knew Dylan Harper was going 2. So I just counted those 2 out. But he made the right move. Because VJ, he's got the drive, the backstory, everything's there for him. It's what you love to see. It's exciting. We'll see if he can continue to do it. I don't know. Good off season and a half, though. Let's take a quick, kind of like a side pull. I'll go back to a little hockey. I want to talk about the Team USA roster coming up today. I'm a little bit upset here, and I've vocalized it on Twitter and Instagram on my story. I'm upset. I really enjoyed the Four Nations last year. I really did. It was fun. Those games were fun to watch. But boy, oh boy, they took Vincent Trocheck. They did what the Phillies are doing right now. They ran it back. They added Tage Thompson and Seth Jones. They kicked out Adam Fox for Seth Jones. They didn't include Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson, Alex DeBrincat. The obvious one is Jason Robertson. They kicked out Adam Fox, as I said. And then obviously Trevor Zegras didn't make it. I think most of those guys that I just named should be on the team. 3 guys that shouldn't be on the team, I'll say. Nelson's had a good year, but I do think there's better players than him. I was just named every single one of those guys I think is better than him. Right? Obviously, Vincent Trocheck, that's disgraceful. Why would you pick Vincent Trocheck? The dude's terrible. He better not play any meaningful games for this team. I'll tell you much. I'll tell you that much. Because, my lord, he's a terrible player. And then JT Miller. I mean, what have these guys done? Oh, they had a good. They didn't have a good series last year, did they? I don't remember them having a great series. It's brutal. Come on. What is like of all the players? And I had a feeling this was going to happen. But what happened to Jason Robertson? I know we're kind of like exceeding the Philly sports talk here, but I'm upset about this. That was fun to watch, and I want to see Team USA take gold. Come on, we can't fall to Canada. Sweden's roster looks nice. I'll tell you that much too. Ugh. But yeah, a little sidetrack. So, just wanted to voice my concern over the four nations, but slight concern there. But so that's it. A little 30-minute plus episode. I think I knocked everything out of the ballpark today. Again, I hope everybody had a great New Year. Luckily for me, I was feeling better on Wednesday. I really went to bed like 8 o'clock on Tuesday, so I was feeling much better on Wednesday. So I was feeling better for the New Year's Eve and the Flyers game, ruining my night. And the college football game, that was a great game. Miami and Ohio State. Thankful Ohio State's gone. But yeah, I think that wraps it up there. And again, I hope you guys had a happy New Year, a great Christmas. It's been a little while since I posted, so I figured I'd get one in today. I have a little bit of time, get it in there. So yeah, thank you for listening today, and I hope you have a great day and a great week. I'll probably post again. I'm thinking next week. I don't know about Monday, maybe. Probably twice next week, maybe 3 times, maybe. I'm going to the Flyers game on Tuesday, so I am hyped. Cutter Gauthier is hearing it from me. Quitter Gauthier, sorry. He is hearing it. Hoping a big win. I paid good money for those tickets, too. So, I hope everybody has a great day, and